Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lepakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Monday, the 1st of April. 4 terrorists neutralized in encounter in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Protest held against forced conversion of Hindu girls in Pakistan. And severe thunderstorm leaves more than 30 dead in Nepal, hundreds injured. And now for all the details. Security forces on Monday neutralized 4 terrorists in an encounter in Pulwama district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province. Meanwhile, a border security force personnel and a 5-year-old girl were killed in firing by Pakistani troops along the border in Jammu and Kashmir on Monday.
Four terrorists belonging to Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Toiba or LET terror group were neutralized by security forces in an encounter in Pulwama district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Monday. The encounter broke out after a joint team of the Indian Army, paramilitary forces and the police had launched a cordon and search operation in Pulwama's Lasipora area over inputs about the presence of terrorists. As the joint team approached towards the suspects, the hiding terrorist fired upon the security forces. India has long accused neighbouring Pakistan of aiding and infiltrating terrorists from across the border to spread unrest in Kashmir Valley. Pakistan denies the charges. Meanwhile, a border security force personnel and a 5-year-old girl on Monday succumbed to their injuries due to firing by Pakistan along the border in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistani troops continued to resort to ceasefire violation for the second consecutive day. The firing was still underway till the last reports came in, and the Indian Army was also retaliating strongly.
An Indian rocket on Monday placed a domestic and 28 foreign satellites in 3 different orbits on a single flight, a first for the nation and a low-cost option that could burnish its reputation for pioneering affordable options in space. This came less than a week after India used an anti-satellite missile to take down one of its own satellites, demonstrating a capability only China, Russia and the United States had possessed previously.
Indian Space Research Organisation or ISRO on Monday successfully launched an intelligence satellite and 28 other satellites of customer countries into space from its southern spaceport of Sriharikota. The satellite launching vehicle first injected India's indigenously developed intelligence satellite EMISAT into the sun-synchronous orbit of the Earth, nearly 464 miles into the space. After that, it came down to approximately 313 miles of Earth's orbit and separated the 28 other satellites. The Indian Space Agency launched 24 nanosatellites for the USA, 2 for Lithuania and 1 each for Spain and Switzerland.
Today, PSLV C-45 has successfully injected ISRO's made EMISAT in 748-kilometer orbit, as well as 28 customer satellites in 504-kilometer orbit.
In the launch, the 4th stage of the launching vehicle won't be discarded as space debris and will be used as orbital platform to carry out space experiments. The launch was first scheduled for March 21st, but then it was postponed to April 1st to ensure mission preparedness and guaranteed successful launch of the satellites.
Protests were held recently in Pakistan and Canada against the forced conversion of 2 Hindu girls in Pakistan's Sindh province. The 2 teenage sisters were allegedly kidnapped, forced to convert to Islam and married off last month.
Scores of people from minority community and human rights activists recently held a protest in Pakistan's Lahore city against the forced conversion of 2 teenage Hindu girls in southeastern Sindh province. The 2 sisters were allegedly kidnapped and forced to convert to Islam and married off on March 20th in Punjab province, where the law does not bar marriages of those younger than 18, unlike Sindh. The protesters highlighted that forced conversions were not just limited to Hindu community in Sindh, but several other cases had surfaced in Punjab during 2019. They demanded an anti-forced conversion bill should be passed across the country immediately.
इनमें से बहुत सारी ऐसी बच्चियां हैं जो नाबालग हैं, कम उम्र हैं, और कम उम्र की बच्ची को अगवा करना और अपनी मर्जी से उसके साथ शादी करना जो है वो गैर कानूनी है। और जब बच्चियां जो है वो कोई उठा कर ले जाता है तो फिर वो उठाने वाले की मर्जी के बयान देती हैं, उन पर प्रेशर होता है, वो माँ बाप की तरफ का बयान नहीं देती, उनकी ज़िंदगी को खतरा होता है। तो ये जो मिथ है, ये जो गलत फहमी है कि लड़कियां जो है वो अपनी मर्जी से जाती हैं।
Meanwhile, similar protests were held on Sunday in Mississauga City in Canada. Human rights activists have long accused that several young Hindu and Christian girls have been abducted, forcibly converted to Islam and married to Muslim men in Pakistan in the past few years. A report from the Movement for Solidarity and Peace estimates that nearly 1,000 non-Muslim girls are forcibly converted to Islam in Pakistan every year.
Moving on, Baloch political activist Munir Mingal has appealed the UN and the international community to take notice of gross human rights violations by Pakistan in Balochistan. Activists have long blamed that Pakistani forces use extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances as means to muzzle dissenting voices in Balochistan.
Baloch political activist Munir Mingal has raised concerns over gross human rights violations by Pakistan in Balochistan and has urged the United Nations to understand Islamabad's intention to eliminate the Baloch people. Mingal said atrocities on locals have increased in Balochistan since the launch of multi-billion-dollar China-Pakistan Economic Corridor or CPAC, which passes through the region. He said Pakistan just wants the resources in Balochistan and not the people, and blamed that China is also pushing military operations against Baloch people to eliminate them completely.
The Baloch are being eliminated. Day by day, Baloch are sacrificing. So it's a need, and it's an urgent appeal to UN, and it's an appeal to the member states of this organization. It's an appeal to the regional powers. It's an appeal to the world powers that they should understand this thing, that the intentions of the Pakistan are that to eliminate each and every single Baloch from Balochistan.
Baloch activists have long raised the issue of gross human rights violations by Pakistan in Balochistan, a region under its illegal occupation. They claim Baloch people are denied even basic amenities, and if they raise their voice, they are subjected to arrests, torture and abduction by the Pakistani troops.
In news from Afghanistan, Afghanistan's Chief Executive Abdullah on Sunday said an absolute majority of Afghans are against stepping back to the dark days in which their rights were violated. His remarks came a day after the president held consultative talks with prominent Afghan politicians.
Afghanistan's Chief Executive Abdullah on Sunday said an absolute majority of Afghans are against stepping back to the dark days in which their rights were violated, and that he sees the capacity among the new generation to build a prosperous and stable Afghanistan. Abdullah mentioned that efforts are underway to create a unified path for peace. His remarks came a day after he met President Ashraf Ghani at a consultative meeting on peace with other political leaders, including former President Hamid Karzai and former jihadi leader Abdul Rab Rasool Sayyaf.
مشوره کردیم که با همه بزرگان سیاسی کشور کاندیداها مشوره کرده از پراگندگی که در حرکت‌ها وجود داره و گاهی سبب از این شده که طالب‌ها از این سوء استفاده کنند و بگویند مردم افغانستان با هم متحد نیستند از این جلوگیری شود.
Afghan President Ashraf Ghani has said that he will continue consultation with other politicians and representatives of the society for a unified stance on the peace process.
Moving on to news from Nepal, death toll climbed to more than 30 on Monday in a severe rainstorm that swept through parts of southern Nepal on Sunday. Officials said relief and rescue operations were underway as around 400 persons were reportedly injured.
Death toll rose to more than 30 on Monday in a severe thunderstorm that swept through parts of southern Nepal late on Sunday. Massive winds accompanied by hailstorms and rain struck Bara and the adjoining district of Parsa late on Sunday evening. A Nepal army official confirmed over 400 people were injured in rain-related incidents. The rescue teams of the Nepali army have been working hand-in-hand with Nepal police and representatives from the local government to carry out the rescue operations.
It has been said more than 400 people are injured, and some of them who are seriously or severely wounded. They are, as I said before, there are 6 of them that have been airlifted to Kathmandu, and all the injured people, they are undergoing the treatment in the nearby hospitals.
Food packets are being provided, temporary shelters have been erected, and medical teams have been flown to affected areas to provide immediate relief to the victims. Pre-monsoon thunderstorms are common in Nepal during the spring season, but are rarely of an intensity that causes high casualties.
A makeup artist in India's eastern Siliguri city has been helping the LGBT community members make their way into the mainstream by offering them free makeup training courses. Several persons trained by the makeup artist have already found employment with several salons and makeup service providers.
A makeup artist in India's eastern Siliguri city has been helping the LGBT community members make their way into the mainstream by offering them free makeup training courses. Makeup artist Lipi has been training 15 to 20 members in every batch of 10 days. Many of her trained members have already found employment with several saloons and makeup service providers as bridal makeup artists and hairstylists. The members of LGBT community still struggle to find a job despite a landmark ruling by the top court to discriminalize homosexuality in the country.
हम लोगों के समाज पे LGBT कम्युनिटी का जो सदस्य है उन लोगों को ना समाज में उतना जगह नहीं मिलता. सारा जगह पे कोई भी काम करने के लिए इन लोगों को बहुत प्रॉब्लम के सामने आना पड़ता है. तो मैंने सोचा तो मैं अगर इनको किसी तरह से हेल्प कर सकती हूँ तो इनके लिए थोड़ा अच्छा होगा.
हम लोगों का जो कम्युनिटी है तो उन लोगों को बिहेवियर एक्चुअली फेमिनियन जैसा है. इसके वजह से हर एक कंपनी में हर एक जगह में जॉब के लिए इंटरव्यू देने जब जाता है वहाँ से भगा देता है क्योंकि वो गाइडलाइंस बोल के उन लोगों को काम में नहीं लेता है. तो इसके लिए बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है.
The visibly different LGBT community members are frowned upon in India and struggle to get decent employment opportunities. Facing sniggers, abuses and bullying, they are often forced to drop out of educational institutions. Adults transgender are left with limited choices of occupation like begging or selling their bodies for sex.
Well, that's a way to what's in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. 4 terrorists neutralized in encounter in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Protest held over forced conversion of Hindu girls in Pakistan. And severe thunderstorm leaves more than 30 dead in Nepal, hundreds injured. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.